Good to see you again.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Good to see you.
I know. Thanks for coming.
They're still applauding the meat joke.
Sitting here between you two is like special.
Have you met?
No.
Do you know George at all?
In 1974, I was backstage security at a concert you did at the Civic.
Oh, yeah.
Do that.
Santa Monica Civic.
Santa Monica Civic,
That's where the
right.
Class Clown album was recorded.
Well, no, I'm a major fan.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff you did about the Catholicism stuff was like heavy hitter stuff to me. Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
it kept me from growing up for a long time. Do you like my stuff?
Hi, John. Yes, I do.
I was a fan of George the first time he did the Hippy Dippy Weatherman. It was the very
God.
first album you ever did. And I think the first piece you did on his show. Are you a product of Catholic schools?
I am, and it's funny because he did a bunch of bits about different things in the Catholic school upbringing that I sure relate to. And I remember a nun telling me one day in school that God limits the number of words you say on earth. And then when you say that last word that you're supposed to say, that's it. And I remember walking around for weeks not saying anything. Yeah.
God, there was another myth when you were young that if you did something a certain dog at about 15. Anyway, you're a rather private guy. I don't see you around much. You seem to do your work and go home with the family. And
I do. I like keeping a part of that private, and I've never understood why people. I mean, I understand why people can ask questions. I've never understood why I have to answer. You know?
Yeah. Well, some people seem to feel because you are an entertainer that they are. It's almost like a law that they should know about your private life.
Well, yeah, and they write things and that kind of
Is that
stuff.
about you?
Well, I mean,
Well, you're married now. You got a child.
Yes, I do, and she's great, and he's great, and
Pam Dauber's your wife.
And Sean's my son.
Sean.
And but they do write things that kind of. I mean, I got said something about me once that I had been in a restaurant in Canada and I had released a bunch of crabs from the live fish aquarium there. Well, in truth, I had been there for dinner, and what I had released was a sea bass. I mean,
That's better.
Yeah, but I sat
How much you had me worried there?
yeah. I sat there all day all night in this restaurant in this very kind of fairly boring dinner, and I watched as this little sea bass who shouldn't have been in the tank in the first place kept crowding near the water pump and the air pump and the filter, and the people kept netting them and going and slapping them on someone's table, and they'd go no, and they'd throw them back, and this guy'd go hang out in the corner. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. Anyway, about halfway through the dinner, I got up and I went to the maitre d' and I said, I want to buy that fish, and he said, oh yeah, great. And I said, no, I want a live fish. And he said, no, I mean, you can't buy a live fish. And I said, what do I need, a bucket? He said, yeah. So I went in the kitchen, I bought a bucket for $10 from the cook. I walked back out, and I said, okay, I got the bucket, let's go. He said, no, I fished in the bucket. And I said, okay, water? I paid $5 for a bucket of water, right? So now I bought the fish for $35, right? And I got this fish, and I go outside the restaurant. I'm going to walk 5 blocks back to the hotel. Now it's raining. I got a wool sport coat on, and I run 5 blocks back to the hotel with this bucket and my fish. I get back there, and it's Easter time in Canada, and there's a big Easter egg in the middle of this lobby that everybody's been decorating, and there are 350 people watching this Easter egg at 11 o'clock at night, and I go walking in this lobby with a wet, smelling like a dead sheep, with a bucket and a fish, and I go and I try to call my stand-in, and I say, I got to get my car, and I got to take this fish down to the ocean and let him go, and I've never seen my car. My stand-in's been driving it the whole time. I don't even know what I'm looking for. Right? So now I can't find my car. I go back to the bellhop. I say, hey, I'll pay you to take me to the ocean to let go of my fish. So I paid him $30, and now I'm really into this fish for a lot of money. And he drives.
The fish is still in the bucket.
In the bucket. I drive to the ocean, and it's still raining like crazy, and I run out with my bucket, and I take this fish, and I'm right at the edge of the water, and I throw this fish in, and honest to God, this fish landed about 8 yards out there, and he swam right back and grounded himself at my feet. I swear. So I pick this fish back up. Now I wade into the water up to my waist, and I take his gills, and I run him backwards through the water, and I let him go, and this fish swims away. And as he swam away, all I could think of, his whole life, he probably worked to get in that tank. And I just let him go again. Yeah.
Touching
story.
concern. I suppose to this day you keep in touch with the fish
We do.
occasionally?
We write occasionally.
That's a nice environmental concern. Yes, George.
Mark, don't go to the zoo.
Yeah. Yes. Shamu, you know, back in the water is a little heavy. We'll take a break. Mike Tyson should have come up with that excuse. We'll be right back. That's funny story.
Our lives. She said